Hi, this is Alex Gordetsky from Calgary, Alberta, Canada, and I play at Links Ridge Golf Course. This is Golf Smarter, number 992.
And then we have unconscious curses. That's what we deal with mostly on a day-to-day basis because we don't understand that we're doing it a lot of the times. And an unconscious curse is me in my head saying, I hope he misses that shot. That's an unconscious curse. Or me saying, oh, I can't stand that person. I hope they don't come to the Christmas party. That's sending negative energy towards someone. You know, we're not taught that. We're not given the information that that is actually doing something. But everything is energy, thoughts, ideas, everything. So when we're thinking in our heads, I want that person to fail. That is laying an unconscious curse. Whether you understand that you're doing it or not, you're still cursing someone. That's what we also do to ourselves, is unconscious curses typically. And that can be actual cursing, like F me, you're cursing yourself. That's an unconscious curse. You don't really know you're doing it. If you knew you were, I think you'd probably stop. So those are the two main categories, conscious and unconscious.
Control your emotions, control your energy, control your game. With documentary filmmaker Mallory Kennedy.
This is Golf Smarter, sharing stories, tips, and insights from great golf minds to help you lower your score and raise your golf IQ. Here's your host, Fred Green.
Welcome to the Golf Smarter podcast, Mallory.
Hello, Fred. I'm so happy to be here.
It's great to have you on. This is going to be a fascinating conversation because over the years of Golf Smarter, and you know, you're in the 990 episodes-esque up in there, I've covered the Zen part of golf, flow state, mental game, emotional game, biometrics, kinesiology, mindfulness, self-hypnosis. But this is the first time that anyone has ever suggested the idea of energy, controlling your energy, or curses. And I'm like, oh, no, wait, this is too interesting and a real hard left turn on this. How did you get, and we'll talk about your book a lot of notes and things that you've said, but you're not a doctor, you're a filmmaker, right?
Correct, a filmmaker and writer.
Okay. How did you get to this?
It was a long journey, I'll say that. But, you know, I've really been, all my life, I've been attuned to energy. And I could see it just kind of naturally as a child. And, you know, it was something I was honestly scared of because I just thought ghosts, you know, you're a little kid and you're afraid to go to sleep because, you know, things are bumping around and you're hearing other things that people don't see. And you just don't want to. So for a long time, it was just a scary thing that I shut down really almost completely as much as I could. Because too, when you talk to people about it, they're just like, oh, you know, that's your imagination. And you kind of discredit it. And they just don't want you to be scared, you know. But then as I grew up and got a little more comfortable with it and saw that it was something also that was not going away, then I decided, well, I just need to make friends with it and started looking into it, I would say, on more of a formal level and just like a self-study. And like you said, I'm not like a doctor and I did not go to a formal school for this. But a lot of it is what I would call a social study and just people watching and watching people's careers and seeing patterns. A lot of it is seeing patterns, I would say. And once you understand the basics of how energy works, you really start to see where curses come in. And people don't want to talk about curses because, again, that's scary. You know, that's on a ghost level.
It's a curse.
Yeah. And especially in the West, we are not accustomed to speaking openly about that sort of thing either. In other countries and other cultures, that's different. You know, it's a little more common, and there are daily things that people do to kind of ward against curses and that sort of thing. But here in the West, we're kind of left to our own devices a bit. And the only time we hear or think about curses, especially in terms of sports, is like baseball or something big like Red Sox, the Cubs. But if big franchises and let's say, whoever's on the cover of Madden this year, if they're susceptible to curses, well, everyone is then. It's not just picking professionals. It's not going on tax bracket alone. This is actually something that affects all of us. And I think it's time that, people really start paying attention to that because it is, like you said, something that people just don't even really think about in terms of injury and slumps and just bizarre failures. And that's on the field and off. Everything that we talk about, of course, it has an athletic application, but it also has a real life application too. So everything you can learn that can help your golf game will also help you, in the boardroom or just every day with your family. And curses, the best way to think of them is really the opposite of blessings. If you believe in blessings and the power of prayer, then you pretty much automatically believe in curses too. They go hand in hand.
Yin
it's
and
just
yang,
polar
yeah.
opposites.
Yeah.
If you're praying for someone and sending them blessings, you are sending them a river of good vibes. You're sending them good energy. But if you're in your head saying, oh, I hope that person, doesn't make it to the meeting today, you're actually sending them bad energy. Or if you're on the golf course and you're saying, miss it, miss it, miss it in your head, you're actually sending out a curse.
Yes, you are.
You are. And you don't
Yes,
even
you
realize
are.
it. And
Yeah.
so when we talk hand in hand of blessings and curses, you also have to start talking about karmic return. And this is where we can kind of control what goes out and comes back at us by how we start to treat others and ourselves. Because a lot of it is, self mindset of how you view yourself. If you think, oh gosh, I'm a loser, I can't make this putt, then you're not going to make it. You're cursing yourself,
Wow.
And that's really what the book goes into. And it's an element of what I call energy management. And that is the active monitoring of your own personal energy so that you can use it to, one, defend against curses and low energy that may sabotage your game, whether that's coming from someone else or yourself. And then it also can help you with your overall wellness and your personal health and help you just live a better, happier life and get a lot of low negative energy out of your way. Because at the end of the day, a lot of times we're our own worst enemy when it comes to mindset.
Right. Right. So when you referred to the being in the West, I'm assuming you mean the global West,
Yes.
and you're talking about the United States and our young civilization. But I am a lifelong Californian, so I'm in the West. So when you say that, but tell me where you came from, because it doesn't exist where I am, but you have issues like this that are part of the culture. Where did you grow up?
I actually grew up in Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Bingo.
So
okay.
We're very, well, my family at least, we're very used to, voodoo, hoodoo,
Absolutely.
just Creole magic. And
yeah.
it's everywhere. It's a way of life.
I visited a family there, and they took us to a haunted, it was in New Orleans, and it was, they took us to haunted houses, right? It's like a regular part of the culture there.
It is. It definitely is. There's actually a law in New Orleans where I'm not positive it's still on the books, but I know it used to be where if you're selling a house, you have to divulge if it's haunted or not. And sometimes that's a selling point. So yeah, but it's just part of the culture where we are. And then it's also taboo at the same time too, which is odd. But I guess that's because of you're still in the Bible Belt. And a lot of times when you start talking about energy openly, people who are from fundamental Christian backgrounds or traditional religious backgrounds can really like put up a wall, and they think, this might be spiritually risky. But it's not. And I think that's a common misconception that we do need to clear up, because it can be scary. I was raised in a Baptist church. My mother's Catholic. Like, I understand. You get the wide eyes when you start talking about curses. So I would say that it is a mixed bag still, even where I live and in New Orleans, where we moved from. But I think that athletes in particular are a group that is primed to learn about the power of energy and how it can help them, because athletes are teachable and they're coachable and they're typically results based. So they'll try almost anything, even if it's a little unorthodox, I would say. They're usually willing to give something a try, and most athletes are already used to visualization practices. And that's a lot of what this is based upon, is visualization.
I'm curious to know how your family feels about you bringing up this topic publicly. And it's like, well, don't go there. Are they concerned about it? Does it make them nervous? Or they're all, yeah, go for it?
I would say that it's been, there's been a progression. At first, it was just, Mallory, she's just crazy. Sometimes I would just talk about wild things, and, that's okay. I was always, they're used to me exploring topics. I'm very open to exploring. And I think they thought maybe that's what this was at first. And actually, I guess I should say in 2016 in Baton Rouge, we had a really historic flood. It was a great flood, and we were affected by it. And I got really sick afterwards from being in the water. And I honestly thought I was like possibly dying. It was that bad. I was unable to eat. My body just stopped accepting food. And I'd gone in and out of hospitals and emergency rooms, just trying to find answers. And of course, all the test results are fine. You're in perfect health. No, I'm absolutely not. I'm like gray. And that's really when I started looking into the energy side of mindset and health, and where those connections were of wellness, because it came to a point where I knew doctors were clearly not going to be able to help me. It was up to me. And I had to figure out how to pick myself up off the couch and just say, I'm going to do this. I'm going to live. I'm going to be well again. And it was a journey through the health part, and then figuring out that health and your surroundings and also your behavior all contribute to your overall wellness. And that's really when I started connecting the dots of energy management. And really, it's all about self-awareness and radical honesty of things you need to change, and actually making those changes, and not just saying, okay, well, this will make me better, but you actually have to do it too. And that's how I started connecting the dots of energy management, mindset, and results, of physical results that you could actually see, and healing, like rebound of healing. And that's also where I started seeing where I was cursing myself in areas of mindset. And then how my environment around me was not conducive to healing, and it was not conducive to being a better person either. And then, as we discuss in the book, when you rectify all those issues, you actually start seeing immense benefits and durability, your increased durability. And when you can get all of that out of your way and then have that self-awareness moving forward, you can apply it to a game, any game, the game of life, the game of chess, golf, anything. And you really can become more in control of what happens to you on and off the field. And I think once they saw, my family, once they saw that this was becoming a way of life and not just talking points, then they started listening. And then slowly I could see that it was sinking in what I was saying, and I could see that they were also applying some things to their lives and seeing results as well. So I would say it's been kind of a lead by example situation, but you do have to be ready for people just to look at you like you're nuts at first.
Absolutely.
But it just comes with the territory.
But what came first? So clearly your illness, and I'm so glad that you're better and you're back. But how did it get from there to start working with athletes?
I've actually always been involved with sports pretty much all of my life. I worked in sports. I was a writer for a football magazine in Baton Rouge, Louisiana Football Magazine. I also worked for Marucci Bat Company, which is now Marucci Sports. And life for me always revolved around sports with my family. Going to LSU football games and anything on the Tigers schedule was, that's just what you did. It's a way of life.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
So sports and life in general have never been separate. There's always been an element of play. And I think that is really important, and having an element of play and keeping it play and not being too serious about it, and something that, you can use as camaraderie with friends or family. It's a bonding experience. It was something I always did with my dad. And, I liked baseball. He liked baseball. So we went together, and so sports have meant family for me, really. There's no separation whatsoever. So that naturally led into my career. And then, like I said, I was, a nonprofit fundraiser and put on a lot of golf tournaments. And then when I was, like I said, going through everything I went through, I started writing about it. I'm naturally a writer, so I'm writing about what I know. And I started out on the health side of things, and then feminine issues, women's life issues, that kind of thing. And honestly, there was not a lot of response. People are happy how they are, most of them. And then I saw this opening. I guess I would mostly say that it was shown to me that athletes are a group that are primed for this type of learning. And it, like we've talked about, it has game time and life benefits. And I think it's also really needed right now. I guess about a year ago, I was at home visiting in Baton Rouge and watching the news with my dad. And I was sitting there and this story came on, and it was all about how they were having to cancel high school football games because they couldn't get referees. Because the referees themselves were afraid of the students, the student athletes, because problems they'd have at games, and then parents, and that they did not feel safe enough to actually come and officiate a high school game. And this was going on across the state. It was, state news. It wasn't just happening in one city. And that floored me.
Sure.
And, the base of energy management, a lot of it is our mindset, how we treat each other, how we treat people, coming back to the golden rule. And I felt like this was an opportunity to try to get a sportsmanship message out there that's a little different. That's not just, oh, you need to be a good person. But if you come to someone and say, look, if you do this, this, and this, and you're nicer and you're a more of a sportsman in your day-to-day life with your team, with your family, you can actually enhance your athletic performance. That's coming at it from a different angle. That's saying, okay, tell me more. What other kind of benefits can I get? Is it really connected? It's not just being a good person. I can actually control if I'm in a slump, if I'm being, not so nice to my coach, that kind of thing. And that's true. And so I think that really opens up a conversation and hopefully can fill a gap in really reviving sportsmanship in our society. Because I think at the end of the day, that's really what we need. And that goes from, high school kids on a football field to, grown men at a golf tournament.
Absolutely.
Because I've seen wild things, on a golf
Absolutely.
course too.
That's one of the things. I work with the First Tee program, and I work with 6 to 10-year-old kids on teaching them golf. But it's more to me about teaching them what golf can teach you about life and how you can make it work to your benefit. I'm curious, do you have any siblings?
I don't. I'm actually an only child.
Okay, so you and your dad go watch baseball games. I got to believe if you grew up in Baton Rouge that you went to college baseball games.
Yes, LSU. Yes.
Absolutely. Okay. All right. I want to talk more about the book. I want to get into the book and talk about energy management, which is such an interesting concept, and how you got from that to curses. But we'll do that when we come back after this. All right, Mallory, I've isolated a bunch of quotes from your book. I'm still reading it because I just got it the other day. We set this up quickly. And everyone should know that her website is energeticathletics.com, energeticathletics.com. And like early on, you're saying being able to successfully rally yourself and the people around you while motivating them to reach greater heights together is an extremely valuable skill. Okay, so now we're talking about coaching, but a lot of what we're talking about here is coaching yourself, right?
Yes, absolutely. And being able to be your own cheerleader and understanding that sometimes there's no one else in the stands rooting for you. You have to be it, and you have to be okay with that, one, and know how to do it, know how to cheer yourself on. And like you said, you have to be your own coach sometimes. That it is you. It's you on the field, when it comes down to it. And that's really the beauty of sports too, is just the lessons that we can learn from ourselves. And at the end of the day, we're really competing against ourselves, not someone else.
Right. Play the course, not your opponent, and especially in golf. So I was hooked in the introduction of the book because you talked about being a cheerleader, and you have to be a cheerleader. And I've always been that kind of person. In high school, I did that. Because I just wanted to be in front of a microphone in high school. I was like, I'm going to be a disc jockey, right? So it's like, give me a microphone and let's see what happens. And I did that for a couple of years in high school and just loved it. But I've also been the guy who always got the T-shirt to like, yeah, we're doing this, right? And my kids are like, oh God, Dad, relax. But they're also kind of like that themselves. We're all, even my granddaughter, it's like, yeah, let's go. We're all cheerleaders in that sense. So that jumped out at me immediately. I'm like, okay, I'm going to like this.
Yeah,
So,
it really is. Like, cheerleading is so important, and we don't always get that, especially when we have to do it for ourselves, because that can be really hard. And like you said, we kind of go through, I guess, cycles where we can, muster up everything we need, and then that kind of wilts a little bit. And that's energy management too. And we talk about how to keep that durability up, how to keep that positive mindset, because it is easy. Like, things are going to happen. You're going to, completely miss the tee. There's, you're going to have a bad day. So you have to be able to, get over it pretty much.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Page 18, you are responsible for the type of energy you choose to extend and express. Whether high or low, the energy you put out will always be returned to you. Going back to karma.
Yes, karma. And that's a major part of energy management is karmic management. And just trying to keep our vibration and the energy of our own personal energy as high as possible or neutral. We kind of go into that too, the power of neutrality. But where people don't always, I would say, where they're not as mindful is with our surroundings. And that can be the people we associate with, our family, our household, the vibe of our office. Wherever you spend the most of your time, the energy of those places are important. And we resonate with whatever we are around, whatever we ingest. And ingesting doesn't always mean food. That means what we watch on TV, what we listen to, the music we listen to is extremely important. And that all affects our resonance. And we will simplify it to high and low, just, for ease. And the higher your resonance, the higher, more positive experiences, whether that's sinking a putt or, just having good outcomes in life, you're going to have more of that. The higher energy you keep around you. So that is a part of energy management, being able to be self-aware enough to say, maybe I shouldn't be, going out late on this night before a big game. That's weakening my energy, or just little things. Maybe I should be getting more rest, or maybe I shouldn't be hanging out with this person who's kind of draining me a little, or whatever you're eating or drinking. If you're addicted to energy drinks or things like that, that can really diminish your energy and cause you, body, mind, spirit to go down a little bit. And that also affects your play. It's all connected. Everything is connected, everything we do. And it's really, I would call it, it changes in real time, I would say. So just like you were talking about being able to cheerlead yourself, you can flip the energy really quick, but you have to do it. You have to stop and say, okay, I'm feeling really mad or upset. This is okay. This is, a human experience. It's okay to feel mad or angry that you are just having a terrible game, but let's figure it out. Let's bring it up a little and at least just have fun. Just trying to find the silver lining and just bringing things back to the positive as much as we can in order to flip the energy, because that's how you can get out of slumps and that sort of thing. And that's where it comes in really handy when you apply it to athletics.
Yeah, I mean, I could easily bring it back and ask you to bring it back to golf, but I think that the audience is skilled enough at this point, if they're an audience member of this show, to understand how this relates to golf and what they can do on their own to use this information to their advantage. So I'm going to highly recommend the book. If this connects with you, check the book out. We'll get more into that later.
Thanks.
But let's go into the types of curses you talk about. Now, we've talked about energy. We're talking about curses. We're going back and forth, and we will continue to do that because that's what this book is about. So let's talk about the types of curses.
Yes. And like you said, all of this energy that we're talking about and curses, it's all intertwined. It all works together. It's all interconnected. So the types of curses, we talk about two categories, which is conscious. That's curses that I'm saying I'm laying a hex on you, that you might hear about that kind of thing, like witchcraft, or, it doesn't have to be ritualized. It doesn't have to be spells, but it can be. It can, but conscious is just, I'm doing this on purpose and I know what I'm doing. That's the first category. The second category,
Spells. That's from your neck of the woods, right?
Yes.
That's from,
Incantations, that kind of thing.
Louisiana.
Like when you're talking about like voodoo dolls, sending, that kind of thing, black magic. That's what we're talking about. And I know that can sound wild, but
no, but I just want to put it out there. If you're listening and you live in Louisiana and this is resonating so well with you, please let me know. Please write to me. I'd love to hear from you to say, oh yeah, that's how we grew up. No problem. So go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt.
So conscious curses. And then we have unconscious curses, which is really, that's what we deal with mostly, I would say, like you and me on a day-to-day basis, because we don't understand that we're doing it a lot of the times. And an unconscious curse is me in my head saying, I hope he misses that shot. That's an unconscious curse. Or me saying, oh, I can't stand that person. I hope they don't come to the Christmas party. Just like that's sending negative energy towards someone. And, we're not taught that. We're not given the information that is actually doing something. But, everything is energy, thoughts, ideas, everything. So when we're thinking in our heads, I want that person to, let's say, I don't know. I want that person to fail. That is laying an unconscious curse. Whether you understand that you're doing it or not, you're still cursing someone. And that's what we also do to ourselves is unconscious curses typically. And that can be actual cursing, like language, like saying, F me, that sort of thing. You're cursing yourself. That's an unconscious curse. You don't really know you're doing it. If you knew you were, I think you'd probably stop. And so those are the two main categories, conscious and unconscious. And what we go into is that we really can't control what other people send our way. I can't control where your mind's going and if you're saying, oh, I hope she fails. But I can control my own energy and my own energy body, which when you start to learn about connecting to your energy body, you start to understand that it is actually your personal defense system. And we can strengthen this energy system to be able to ward against curses, unconscious or conscious. And so that's where we move from there is, okay, this is what curses are. These are how they're sent to us. They're just thought projections. It's just the opposite of blessings, So it's not anything to be afraid of is really what the book focuses on, because fear feeds curses, regardless of if I send it or if I'm sending them to myself or if someone else sent it to me. If I start falling into fear or fearful mindsets or a low energy, if it starts affecting me and then I start piling onto it, it creates a snowball effect and it will just get worse and worse. But if you have a strong energetic defense system, if you have a strong shield, you are a lot less affected by these thought forms that are coming at you. And your game is protected in a sense. And you can learn how to clear these things out of your field if they get stuck in your field, so that other people saying, miss it, miss it, miss it, doesn't actually make you miss it.
It's so funny that you keep talking about energy the way you are, not energy fields, but your own personal energy. When my younger son was probably in 3rd or 4th grade, the teacher pulled him aside and said, Mr. Green, you've got a lot of energy. And he went, well, that's my name spelled backwards. Because it's Greene, backwards is Energ. Energy. And he came home and told us that and was like, how did you come up with that? I've never even thought of that. And he goes, I don't know, it just sort of looked like to me. It's like, wow, Okay. And that
High
is
energy.
high energy kid. Definitely. High energy family. Absolutely. I have now 2 daughters-in-law. It's like, can't keep up with you guys. When you all get together, it's, we're loud and proud.
That's a
Okay.
good thing.
Yeah, it's a great thing. Let's get back to self-sabotage and how it relates to golfers all the time.
Yeah. And I would say the biggest thing that I see pattern wise for cursing yourself and sabotaging yourself in your own game is attitude and language. Our attitudes really control everything that come at us. Like if you have a bad attitude, you're probably going to have things that come at you that make you have even more of a bad attitude. If you have a positive attitude, you're going to have experiences that enhance that positive attitude. It really is about resonance, and we can control that. And one way is our attitude. Even if things aren't going your way during the game, you have to be able to come back to why you played to begin with. You need to bring it back to fun. You need to be, okay, maybe I'm having a bad day, but at least I'm out in nature, green grass, blue sky, there's fresh air. Like, look for the silver linings, look for the good things, look for something to pull you out of that slump, out of that energetic slump, because that's what it is. And you have to be able to recognize, okay, like, I need to fix this. It's all about self-accountability. I can't fix self-hexes for you. You have to fix them for yourself. And one of the ways we do that is controlling our language. And, cursing does exactly that. Cursing curses you. So if you can clean up your language on the course and off, you're going to find that there's a lot less resistance coming at you because you're not cursing yourself anymore. And, language in general, when we talk about like magic and that sort of thing, you start seeing the similarities of just spelling and spells and cursing and curses. Like, language is so important, and how we talk to ourselves is so important, as well as how we talk to others. But how we talk to ourselves is an area that really everybody could use help with, I think.
Oh, absolutely. And it leads to what you talk about as our ultimate superpowers.
Your calm is your superpower. It absolutely is. In, every situation, pretty much, calm will save you almost every time. That's the lesson I've had to learn. And I think especially athletes and young athletes, I think it's important that they learn that too. And that, it's easy to fly off the rails when things go bad. It is hard to keep yourself centered and stay calm. But the more you do it, the easier it becomes. It is just like a muscle. You have to practice getting over it, almost like time trials. Like, how quickly can I just move on? How quickly can I even just forget about it, put it behind you? And, like you said, even if that's just going back to the fun and trying to remember, the little kid that wanted to be a golfer, trying to hang on to those things, that really helps. But language and attitude are really the biggest ways we sabotage ourselves. And I think we know that. It's like common sense, but we don't always apply it to our lives.
Right. Right. And it brings back the neutrality part. You mentioned the power of neutrality. And so you're calm being your superpower, but explain how neutrality works in that, again, on the golf course.
On the golf course, especially, because golf is really a good place to start practicing energy management, because it's an individual sport. You can do trial and error and see how things are working for you easier than, say, with an entire team. So I would say that when you are on the course, when you are able to reach that neutral space, and we don't mean blank when we say neutral, it's just if I make this shot, I'm going to celebrate and it's going to be an amazing day and I'm buying everyone drinks. But if I don't make it, that's okay too. It's been a good day, we're here. That's neutrality. It's not having an attachment to that outcome of, oh, if I don't make this shot, the world's going to end, or, and that gets tough, especially when, we bet on holes or there's money involved and things like that. That can get difficult to get back to, just the pure essence of the game and that enjoyability and what it was truly meant to be, in the beginning. But that neutrality really it connects you with the flow. And like, as we said, everything is connected, interconnected. And especially in golf, when you're just in the middle of beautiful nature and, you have grass under your feet and the sky above, you connect with that flow when you're in that neutral state. And you will see that it actually improves your physical ability. Your calm mental state allows the physical to follow suit and find success. It's all connected. And if we can maintain those calm states, it really will improve every area of your life, including your game. Yeah. It's really fascinating to see how easy it is, and that it really is all about imagination. It's as simple as imagining your own energetic bubble around you and just clearing that with your mind and then taking your shot. Yep. It can be that easy. It is not time consuming. I know, like in the book, it walks you through steps of all the different exercises and how to connect and how to start becoming more in tune with your own energy. And I think sometimes when we break things down step by step, it can almost get more difficult. And it truly is as simple as connecting to this big bubble of energy that we all have around us and learning how to enhance that energetic field and get it as strong as possible so that life and gameplay becomes a breeze and more enjoyable too. I feel that energy management, when applied to athletics, puts the enjoyment back into it for a lot of folks, that it's not just this slog of something that's kicking my butt and, I'm just not excelling at. It really puts perspective, I believe, back into play. And I do think play is so important just in all aspects of our lives.
You mentioned just a few minutes ago, it reminded me of an episode that we did years ago that was called NATO Golf. NATO being not attached to outcome. You talked about not being attached to outcome and how that can help. And there you go. It's a recurring theme here. But the two, three sentences, but in 10 words, 9 words that you wrote in the book that flew off the page to me. And I was so happy when I went to your website and saw those words on your video that you put on. It's control your emotions, control your energy, control the game.
Yes,
how'd you come up with that?
Works.
That is so good. So good. I love that. I think that's the name of this episode, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. And that's just the reality. A lot of it comes down to being able to say, okay, Mallory, get it under control. Stop letting the thoughts fly and bring it back to center. Have a little fun and just do it, It really can be that simple. It really can. And it all comes back to control and that controlling of emotion, control your energy. And it really does lead to controlling the game as much
for
as
yourself. Yeah, right. As much as you can, because once the ball leaves the club face, it's out of your control.
Yeah.
And you have to allow that, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then we can also talk about that kind of thing, the power of positive thinking, of when that ball is in the air, what happens to it? You know, when you're saying, okay, hole in one, hole in one, hole in one, hole in one, versus, oh no, oh no, oh no. What effect does that have on the ball? It absolutely has an effect.
You think so?
Yes. Everything is energy. And so when that thought form of, oh no, is applied, you're going to get, oh no, usually.
Yeah.
But if you're applying, yes, got it, or I'm a winner, or whatever your mission is in that moment, you have a much greater chance and probability of that actually occurring. And that comes back to visualization of say it, see it, do it.
Right. Right. And here you said you are responsible for cursing yourself. I'm reading right from the book here. In fact, we are usually our own biggest oppressor. This can come as a shock, but it should also be a relief. If we are acting as our own worst enemy, then it should be easy to stop, right? Those are your words.
Technically, it should be easy, right? And that's where
Right,
self-awareness comes in, and self-accountability. You can know all day that, cursing myself is going to give me a higher chance of, failure outcomes, or just outcomes not as good as they could be. But it's up to me to actually apply that knowledge. You can know something, but if you don't apply it, do you really know it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's all about self-accountability. You have to become in control of your own game. You can only be as good as you make yourself, and that takes effort. Just like anything else, athletically, you have to practice. Mindset takes practice. Visualization takes practice. Commanding energy, which we get into in the book, takes practice. And it just takes actually doing it. A lot of times with energy work and that sort of thing, people automatically assume there's a lot of like ritual involved or anything like that. And so they shy away. They just don't want to do it. But there's not. You really only need your focused intention. But you have to make a point to create that focused intention. You have to actually go through the steps and do the work, because there is a little bit of work involved. But once you get the rhythm of it, it's nothing. It's just like swinging a club.
Yeah, nothing. Wow. So this is just, it's a great reminder for all of us on how we should be out there on the golf course. But it's also a new way of looking at it. Like I said, I've done so many topics on mindfulness and Zen and mental game, emotional game, all those things. But this is a different approach that I really appreciate. And I'm enjoying the book very much. So
Thank you.
the book is called Energetic Athletics. The website is energeticathletics.com, and that'll be in the show notes. But you also talked about you're a filmmaker, a documentary filmmaker. Can you share anything you're working on?
Yes, actually, it's sort of golf related.
Okay, awesome.
Our big documentary that we're almost finished with, we're light at the end of the tunnel right now, is about Jim McMahon, the quarterback for the 85 Chicago Bears. Yeah,
Championship Bears, yes. Bears.
The Bears. It is about his NFL career, and then also focuses actually on his health challenges after the NFL.
Wow.
Jim has dealt with CTE and traumatic brain injury, and the documentary really goes in. It's two parts, really. The first half is Jim in all of his glory. And then the second half is what he's really been through. And it's very eye-opening for anyone who puts on a football helmet, honestly. But it's hopeful as well. I mean, he's been through a lot, but he's also in treatments right now with a chiropractor out of New York, and they're having fabulous results with a process of atlas balancing, which is non-invasive. And it's all about his recovery, really, with that. And a lot of his mindset is actually in the movie. And Jim is really an amazing character. We've been filming for several years now, so I actually have had the pleasure of following Jim around the country to different golf courses and watching him play a lot. And it's been an incredible case study to watch in action, in person. And Jim is just the master of his own mind. He is. It's fascinating. He is, if I could hire a poster boy, he would be the poster boy for energetic athletics, because he just is naturally so strong. And when you talk about calm is your superpower, that is Jim McMahon.
Wow.
He can make things happen. And I've seen it in person. I've seen it on football film, but in person is really incredible to be around, because it's contagious too. And we talk about that in the book. Energy is contagious. And then that goes back to who you surround yourself with and your energy input. Because being around people like Jim, you feel the difference. It just does something good for your own personal energy being around him, because he's positive and he keeps everyone around him positive. And that is a great example of leadership and energetic leadership, because like we said, it really is contagious. So if you know your energy is contagious and you take that to heart, you're going to try a little harder to, stay in those positive mindsets, especially when you're in a group setting, so that doesn't bleed over to the rest of the team, because especially in team sports, that can happen easily. One person starts having a bad day and then everybody's off, just the same way that hitting's contagious. But,
and what's the name of the movie? Do we know
Mad
yet?
Mac, The Memory of Jim McMahon. It'll probably be out towards the summer, but it's really fascinating, and it goes into a lot of different areas that deal with what we're talking about right here. Maybe not so in your face, but they're absolutely there. And I think when people start delving into this more and start connecting the dots to how energy and athletes and athletics just are all intertwined, they'll start seeing in themselves and in other players who is naturally doing it. Because a lot of the times we're already naturally doing this for ourselves. We just don't understand. And then you have people like Jim who are doing it on turbo. And he doesn't know he's doing it. He's not going through these steps, and he's not actively saying, okay, I'm going to do this, this, and this, and I'm going to make this happen for myself. He's naturally doing it, but you can learn how to naturally do it too. So there are two sides of the coin, and you will start to see like, okay, he naturally has a very strong energetic shield, and he naturally can visualize and make things happen for themselves. But it is a skill that we can all learn to do.
Wow. You said it's going to be out this summer. Is it streaming or theaters? Where are we going to see it?
I'm not sure where it will be yet, but it'll be streaming, that sort of thing. Okay.
Well, congratulations on that. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you so much for these insights and your book. I really enjoyed it, and I think it's worth picking up and looking at it. Again, it's energeticathletics.com, and the book, Energetic Athletics by Mallory Kennedy. Mallory, thanks so much for coming onto the show.
Thank you so much, Fred. I really enjoyed our talk. This was wonderful.